Well, the numbers have not been encouraging. After weeks of lower case counts during lockdown, positive cases keep piling up as New Mexico gets back to work and play. The balance New Mexico thought it had achieved between staying home and staying employed looks even more delicate. Here to talk through what we're seeing is our Line Opinion panel. Former state senator and Line regular Dee Dee Feldman joins us. Former House Rep and Line regular Daniel Foley. We're always grateful to have his insights. We also welcome Line guest Dave Mulryan. He's founder of Everybody Votes. And Dave, I'm going to stick with you on this. We're still doing okay with hospitalizations, but as we know, we don't have to look any further than Arizona. Then, this can get bad in a hurry. One thing follows the next.
Yes.
What went wrong for New Mexico? What went wrong here?
Well, I think in general, it's one of those things. I was in New York. I went to New York in 1983. And I swear to God, the first person that died of HIV died on the day I arrived. And the big problem that you have is that people do not understand exponential numbers. Here's an interesting point. In 1985, there were 550 cases of HIV that were recorded because we had a test so we could find out. By 1994, that is 9 years later, HIV was the leading cause of death of white men ages 45 to 55, not gay white men in general. It went that quickly. So I think what's happened here is that, again, these governors and the federal government and the politicians in charge are trying to balance, it's your money or your life. They're trying to keep the economy from completely stalling, yet if you get everyone who's very ill, the economy stalls by its nature. And I think that one of the things that we're seeing is that it's not just about the COVID crisis. It's about what kind of resources are we going to have. I mean, Houston, which is the fourth or fifth largest city in the country, is 100% out of hospital beds.
Right.
And
they're
so
up against the wall. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let me slip in a couple folks here. Sorry about that, Dave. Dee Dee, let me get to you next on this. Turning around a spike is a lot different than preventing one. And now the governor finds herself in a place where she's playing defense instead of being on offense. And, let me hone in on the 14-day quarantine. A lot of chatter on Facebook about this. How to actually pull this off. Can we really expect people to come to Santa Fe, Taos, wherever, in quarantine for 14 days before they go out and shop and visit? How viable is that?
Well, I think that's going to be a very big hit to tourism. And of course, we're very dependent on tourism. I noticed today that the New Mexico Tourism Department had taken out an ad in Arizona and Texas papers informing people about this quarantine, which will definitely bring down the number of tourists. But we have to worry about in-state tourism as well. I mean, that's a plus and a minus because people have cabin fever. Right. And this is part of our problem of why we are spiking now is because people are not being careful and are getting tired of staying at home and don't want to wear masks. And it's something we have to do together. But unfortunately, people have lost that feeling of one for all and all for one. And instead, the question is, maybe it's acceptable to open businesses, and maybe it's acceptable to lose a certain number of lives in order to keep our economy going. That's a really sad situation, and I think you see the governor almost acting like a mother and saying, you've got to do this. You've got to mind your P's and Q's, or we're not going to be able to open up the schools. So, there is the civic spirit of helping one another and not passing this on to other people, but there is also the enforcement issue and the issue of not being able to open up any further if people are not playing by the rules. So it's a tough time to be a leader of a state, especially when some of your local officials are saying, we're not going to enforce it. we're not going to enforce our laws. Essentially, we're going to pick and choose which ones we can do.
You just anticipated my question to Dan. You know, the governor had a tough piece out, an op-ed in the Journal on Wednesday, I believe, or Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday. You know, basically saying, guys, we need you to cooperate here, whether you're city managers, you know, sheriffs especially. I don't know if you read it, Dan, but what do you think of that? Have you heard about it through the grapevine? What's been the reaction in Republican circles?
Well, Gene, as you know, I read a lot of books on tape, so you know, it's got to be a book on tape for me to read it. But I mean, the reaction in Republican circles is, you know, everything from, you know, the government's coming to get you to we just got to figure this out and work together. I think there's the problem that I think people are missing, in my opinion, and I'm not blaming anybody for it. I just think it's the inconsistent communication, right? When you tell someone you got to stay home and you can't go to the barber shop because you're going to get coronavirus, you're going to get COVID-19. But you go to Walmart where 900 people are standing in line and you're safe there, or you're safe at, you know, insert, you know, Costco or Sam's. And I think that's, people are having a hard time connecting with saying, wait a minute, I cannot patron a friend of mine's business and go buy my milk and eggs at a small grocery down there, or I can't go get my hair cut.
But aren't we past that point, Dan? Sounds like you're talking about a problem from 4 weeks ago. I mean, you can go to places now. The question is, can you do it appropriately with a mask? So a lot of people out there are just not going to wear a mask.
For some reason, every time we do this, you never let me finish the thought because you don't agree with me. And I get it. But to me, it's the foundation of the message. You're asking me why people aren't buying into this. I think it's because it's a constantly shifting message, right? You know, you can't do this stuff. Now you can. Now you kind of can do this. I'm not saying that that's anybody's fault. I'm saying that, you know, the conversations that I hear from people is people are like, it's amazing that the coronavirus is only affecting people in groups of 10 or more. If you're in less than 10 people, you're not going to get the coronavirus. I think we should be wearing a mask. It makes no sense to me not to wear a mask. You know, it makes no sense to me why you shouldn't be taking the precautions that you should be taking. I'm answering your question saying that when there's an inconsistent message coming to people throughout this deal, it's hard to get people to buy in at any point. And I think that's been the problem nationally, right? I mean, you know, Southwest Airlines, you know, we went on a trip not too long ago and, you know, we got out during a little break in there. And for some reason, they're not renting out, they're not selling the middle seat, which I'm happy for. So I guess, you know, if you sit on one seat, Gene, and the guy between us is empty and the person next to us, and I'm next to you with one gap between us, apparently you're COVID safe there, right? So, I mean, it's just a message that people are not understanding.
Let me go to Didi on this. You know, we've got a segment, a really good one coming up in a couple of minutes, illustrating the risks that workers are facing trying to tell people to wear a dang mask. In fact, we've got an interview with my colleague Megan Kemerick is talking to the young man who got threatened with that fellow with a gun at a pet store. And I want folks to tune in for this very interesting conversation. Didi, what has to happen here? I mean, I hear Dan, but if everyone, you know, if we have a significant amount of folks who don't want to wear a mask, we're just going to keep cycling back to this over and over.
Yes. And I think the statistics are that since the restrictions were loosened here in New Mexico, they were lifted slightly in June, and as a result, the number of COVID cases has increased by 60%. So it's very clear. I agree with Dan. The message has not been communicated well, but it's a fluid situation. And so things change very rapidly. I mean, you could take the real totalitarian approach and say, you've got to stay at home, and here's your ankle monitor to make sure that you're still at home. And if you're not at home, we're going to throw you in jail because we know the ankle monitor tells us. We live in a free society. And people are used to personal freedoms. And unfortunately, they also have come to distrust the government, distrust the media, all of the institutions that we used to trust to tell us the truth, we no longer believe in.
When elected officials,
let me jump in here, Dan, 'cause I'm a little bit short on time. I appreciate that, Dee Dee, for
not
sure.
following the rules, I think that's a very bad precedent. When elected officials say, "I'm not wearing a mask at this city council, county commission meeting," or "those doctors are crazy," I think asking someone to wear a mask is literally, do I enjoy wearing a mask? Not at all. It's not like they're telling you to wrap yourself in bubble wrap and stay home. And so I think this whole not wearing a mask, not social distancing, I just, people not listening and buying into at least taking those minimal steps. I think especially if an elected official is crazy.
Gotcha.